Welcome back to Startup Hack. With my 25 years of development experience, here at Startup Hack, we turn beginners into full-stack developers in as little as 3 months. Now, today we're going to dive into some rare HTML tags that nobody ever uses. And I like to point these out because a lot of times developers don't even know about these, so I'd love to make people aware of them. So let's dive into them. All right, so let's dive into some rare HTML tags that no one ever uses. So let's start with the abbreviation tag. Now, the abbreviation tag defines abbreviations or acronyms. And an example is like the abbreviation World Health Organization, or WHO, right? So we're going to tab back and forth a little bit here, so bear with me. But so you can see this abbreviation tag here, that this is actually hypertext markup language. You can't see it super well in there because it's kind of small, but this is what gives that underline that when you hover over it, it's a little different than a tooltip because it allows you to be able to hover over it and give the actual full abbreviation. Now, what does the code look like on that? So the code for the abbreviation tag is like this, right? You can see that the abbreviation, and I'll make my code a little bit bigger here then so we can all see this here. You can see this abbreviation, and the title is what is going to give the full, and then this will be what the abbreviated text will be. All right, so let's go on to our next one here. So our next one here is the Q, or inline quotation. So this wraps text in a quotation mark. So you can see like Q, this is a quote here, right? So let's see what this looks like in the browser first. So this actually is going to automatically wrap any text that you put inside of a quote, making it browser safe way to do it. So let's take a look at our code here. So we can see here that the Q tag, right? And this H1 here is going to get wrapped into this Q tag. Now, how does it do that? It's doing that by setting the styling on this. And this is right here. So this is our header. Sorry, I highlighted the wrong part. The Q tag here is going to actually wrap this then into a quote. So this gets really handy to use without, sometimes quotes can be really finicky in HTML. All right, let's go back over here to our next example. So the S tag will give you a strike through. This is great if you want to do, hey, a big sale, we're saving, 200%, $200 is now $100. So again, our code looks pretty direct right here. We can see the S tag, and you can see in the middle here, we did the strike through on the 200, and then you can see in this paragraph, buy for $200, no $100. So let's go look at what that looks like here. So you can see buy for $200, no $100, right? So this is very helpful here, and obviously this is just some good little tags that we can get used to. All right, the mark tag or the highlights the text with a yellow background, and so you can say important, right? And this allows you to then take this, and we can see in this mark tag, right? Coding beauty website, right? So it's going to highlight that beauty part. This is a very handy tip here then because it allows you to use that mark tag here, right? And we can say mark this one with yellow. So rather than getting into some really weird CSS or something, this is a really simple way to do it with the actual HTML. All right. Cruising right through these now. So word break opportunity. So this is where suggests where the browsers can break the text. So I know a lot of times I used to insert like a BR or something to break the text. But if you have a really long word and you want it to wrap, then you can give it the suggestion on where to break that text. So we can see here that right here it's not going to do it. But if I grab my browser and I try to resize this, then So we grab this and try to resize it. You can see it'll tell it where to try to break that. So that one looks like it marginally works. Some of these may not always be, and some may have a very specific use case. So just keep them in mind for the next time that you need to use them. All right, cruising right along here. We're going to go into the details and summary. So this allows you to expand and toggle the visibility of content. So without you having to use some very fancy CSS, you can use the details and then the summary. So let's check this out inside of a browser. See our cool lorem ipsum here, and you see the results of the text there. So a very handy way to do this without really having to use a whole bunch of CSS. I remember having to code up a whole bunch of CSS for maybe like an FAQ or something. And the nice part about this being right in the HTML is this is going to allow SEO to be able to scan that a whole lot easier. So how does this look? We see our details, and then we see the summary, and then you can see the actual text that you're seeing underneath that when you expand it out. All right, now right back in here. So the opt group, the option grouping is groups options into a drop-down menu. So you can see a select, which we're very used to, but an option menu, which labels fruit, apples, and bananas. So let's take a look here at what this looks like in real life. So this is a drop-down list, but you can see then you get into options. So we can see Swedish cars and German cars, right? So this will allow us to then group these in a select tag. Let's take a look at the code here now. So you can see in the select, which is pretty standard, right? We have our option group or opt group, as well as then the options. And this allows us to group those in the drop-down list together. Very, very handy. And as always, make sure you download these code samples. Don't type this all out because we provide hundreds of code samples. And so check out the link down below because we give tons of code samples on lots of different various projects from JavaScript, C#, lots of different things because we love to teach software developers here. All right. Back to our presentation here now. Now we have a data list. This allows us to do an input on autocomplete, which is really handy. It provides autocomplete for an input. And this is, again, you used to take a ton of JavaScript code to do this. I love that this is now easy right in HTML. So we have our input list of languages, the data list, and then the various options. So let's hop over here and take a look here. So we can see in this data list here, there's lots, I can see the different options, and when I click on them, they pop up here. But instead, I can also start to type and say, hey, I want Safari, and you notice it limits it just to the ones that I'm typing here. So again, you used to take tons of code. Very simple way to do this data list, right? And so this is all just, to tie it together. But this is the actual data list component, and this gives us really fancy ways to do that without having to do a ton of code. Man, so much simpler than what it used to be. All right. That's the problem with being a 25-year experienced developer is I see all this stuff and I think of all the stuff I used to have to code up manually in JavaScript. Makes me kind of talk about like what it was like to walk to school both ways, right? All right, field set and legend. We got the form grouping, so groups related form elements. So inside of a field set, and this gives a really nice where we have the legend, which is kind of gives the label, gives a label of sorts. Then you have another actual label and the input and then the field set. So let's go take a look at what this looks like in the browser here. So you can see this here, and then this allows us to then group these objects and give this really nice context through here. Then we can do a lot of fancy styling with this with CSS and whatnot, but this field set is really fancy. This has been around for a little while, and I've used it lots of different times, but this field set is very important, but super easy to use, and just don't forget the legend tag that goes with it. The rest of this is pretty standard, straight up HTML. All right. We're drawn to a close here. Our fun today is drawn to a close. The sup and sub tags. So sup is for superscript and sub is for subscript. So pretty straightforward here, and I'm going to guess that you can know what this one's going to look like. We can see a superscript up here, and then we can see the subscript down here. Really handy if you're doing a lot of scientific notations and things, math problems, that kind of stuff. But if you're doing a lot of scientific superscript and subscript, sometimes you can't figure out the TM or the copyright. This is another way you can hack at it and do that as well. Looking at the code here for this, obviously pretty straightforward. The part that you want to put into the superscript or the subscript, you just wrap into those tags. Now, that's it for today. We have a lot, so we want to make sure that you definitely download those code samples. We do a lot of work to make sure we provide you with good code samples. So make sure you pull down our the GitHub repository. It's free. Make sure you pull that down. Here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers. With our 25 years of development experience, we take developers with zero experience and help to train them to be ready to start as an intern as a software developer in as little as 3 months. So make sure you check out startuphack.com or check out the link down below. Also, make sure you leave comments. Let me know what you agree with, disagree with. Do you think this stuff is crap? Give me some feedback. Do you love it? Obviously, you're going to love it. But let me know what you thought, what parts you loved and what not, because I want to make sure we're bringing you good content. So we'll catch you guys next time. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel because we bring you lots of great tutorials and tips that every developer should know. See you next time.